we almost need to build a bridge between the current and the future. Investing to address the historic legacy of deprivation in communities that do not have access to services, to investing in changing the way in which our city works, and therefore an ability to invest in the corridors, replenishing aging infrastructure. We can resolve the now, but let's build a different city of the future.
When you're dealing with spatial transformation, you must deal with the fundamental issues of economic and social segregation. So the two are not necessarily two separate processes. They are parts of a very singular process of transformation, and one cannot overemphasize the need for it to be dealt with comprehensively.
How do we transform the urban space? If we do so, are we doing it in a positive way or are we doing it in a negative way? We have a history where it was done in a negative way, and so it resulted in the fragmentation that we have.
Johannesburg is one of the world's youngest cities. It's got youth, energy and vibrancy. What apartheid really did was destroy much of that youth, much of the potential of the city, by putting people into containers.
The apartheid legacy used a range of different methodologies in order to segregate people, but in order to do so from a policy perspective, it needed to manifest that spatially. And using where people reside was effectively the tool that was used to do so.
Communities broken down in racial groups, living in different parts of the city.
The traditional apartheid city in the model was obviously using infrastructure to separate people. So you have highways, transport systems, railway systems to keep race groups apart.
We've got very long commute distances, we've got very low densities, and we don't have a lot of mixed land uses.
It's a very inefficient city.
You could find somebody coming all the way from Vosloorus working in Kempton Park. That is a huge distance.
To undo all of that and to plan around that is not an easy task.
Even when you've worked through the racial dimension in South Africa, you still have to face the question of what kind of city you want, what kind of economy you want, how are people going to work there.
Transit-oriented development is one of the most exciting new approaches to the restructuring of cities. It's been used very effectively in many parts of the world.
You get development along transit or along transport lines.
Taxi ranks, bus ranks, train stations, airports, any transit infrastructure allows you to cluster a particular type of land uses, but also to achieve much higher efficiencies.
You can start integrating social and economic opportunities along those corridors, and I think it's an efficient way of doing it.
Many cities have gone through transit-oriented development corridors as a means of development over a long period of time, and they've experienced urban regeneration.
Think about it, when you're in a station or when you're transitioning either between one mode of transport to another, you can do your nails quickly, you can do your hair quickly, you can grab your groceries on your way from home. Now imagine if your home was a walking distance to the transit infrastructure.